Are you unvaccinated and heading out for a night on the town? This local New Haven club has you covered.
With flu season coming up, it's important to get vaccinated. Head over to Quinnipiac Health Services to learn more.
There are new areas to sit on the quad, and it's making students ask how they can operate them. All that and more coming up on the Q30 Newscast. And welcome to tonight's edition of the Q30 Newscast inside Studio 125. I'm Jack Main.
And I'm Krista Barong. We have a lot to get to this evening, starting with the updated University COVID dashboard. There are currently 12 active cases of COVID-19 on campus, including 8 in the last 7 days. This brings the total number of cases to 28, dating back to August 30th.
The popular local New Haven club Toad's Place is now offering rapid tests regardless of vaccination status. Q30's Vanessa Blasi has more.
More restaurants and clubs in New Haven, like Toad's Place right behind me, are taking new measures to ensure the safety of their guests. Earlier this week, Toad's Place announced they will be accommodating guests who have not received their COVID test within the 3 days. For those who aren't vaccinated or prepared with a negative COVID test, Toad's is now offering a limited number of COVID-19 rapid tests for $10 at the door. These tests will be sold on a first-come, first-served basis because, as Brian Phelps, the owner of Toad's, tells us, they are hard to come by.
It's difficult to get them, so we just go around to all the area stores and throughout the week, and we buy as many as we can buy, and usually it's pretty close to what we need.
Toad's Place has been a popular spot for Quinnipiac students for years now. Many students are glad to hear about this opportunity.
Do you think that's a good idea? I think that way people don't have to worry about planning out their week if they don't have the vaccination card, and figuring out when they'll get tested so they can have the results in time.
Well, I'm unvaccinated myself, so I think this would actually be very helpful for people like me and many others who are not vaccinated.
Yet some students are hesitant about the idea.
I feel people that go there, they're just eager to party, that they probably, I know it's a rapid test, but no one's going to want to wait that long for a rapid test.
Overall, Phelps believes this edition will help the continuous effort to gather college students safely and enjoyably.
I think it'll get better every day as we go through this fall semester and get into the early part of the spring semester.
I'm Vanessa Blasi for Q30 News.
Students in the College of Arts and Science traveled around the state of Connecticut to help spread information about the COVID vaccine. The students spent time handing out flyers, but didn't draw much interest from the target audience.
What was more efficient was handing out the flyers. When we do tabling, it's usually fun places like pools, lake compounds, and no one really wants to stop by a table and talk about vaccines, but they want to have fun.
The Quinnipiac Student Programming Board is finally back to fully in-person events. But even with loosened COVID guidelines, there are still some handicaps put on the events. Q30's Luca Triant has the story.
Almost a month has passed since classes have started at Quinnipiac University. While students have been dealing with essays, homework, and tests, the Student Programming Board has continued to provide a lengthy list of events for students to enjoy amidst their work this semester. However, the reality today was not the same as it was last year.
Last year was a big curveball for us, just in terms of having to put in all the COVID protocols, making sure people are wearing masks, and then eventually having to go fully virtual.
While it was difficult to run events last year, thanks to a loosening of pandemic restrictions, there is more the Student Programming Board can do to cater to Quinnipiac students. Events are now back in person, and with more students on campus, the SPB feels there is less of a need to offer a virtual option as well. With less concerns with putting together events, already there have been a few events each week, and SPB has many more planned.
You can expect all of our crazy, awesome events. We're bringing back our live concerts. We're bringing back large-scale events. We're bringing back in-person bingo.
Students, especially new students, voiced their support for the events SPB has put up so far this semester.
I went to one of the trivia nights and they've been a lot of fun, very high energy and definitely a way to, get people together.
It's been a great opportunity to meet new friends and just get to know people. And I really like the paint nights. The food trucks are great. I love bingo too.
Be sure to check out SPB on the DoYouQU website to see what events are coming up soon. For Q30 News, I'm Luca Triant.
The polls closed yesterday for the Quinnipiac class of 2025. Jacob Kretter was elected president, Aiden Truckenbrod was named vice president, and the senator positions will be filled by Sean Formontes, Ryan Hangerman, Carly Monsell, Thomas Peters, and Jamison Seltzer. The new multicultural and identity senators were also appointed yesterday. Owena Roberts and Jack Weinstein will take office next to current multicultural and identity officer Jeremy Gustafson. Q30's own Eric Kerr spoke to Carly Monsell about the elections.
SGA is for the students, and a lot of times the students is what creates a school. So having those student leaders to be able to kind of maneuver around the hard times is really helpful.
Quinnipiac Chief Experience Officer Tom Ellett fell short of his goal to add 25 new student employees to work for Chartwell's dining services. In an effort to connect with the students and receive student perspective on the quality of dining on campus, Ellett decided to open more positions for students in the dining halls. There is a wide variety of positions, including social media and food preparation.
The key piece for me is really the feedback and the assessment that students who are working there can probably give the richest feedback. I always love, for instance, when I talk with RAs, they're the ones who are actually living in the residence hall and they're experiencing, they give some really good, candid feedback, and my hope is that student employees in the dining services would do the same thing.
Ellett hopes to increase the dining student employment numbers to 100 in 2 years. The university will be giving students flu vaccinations soon. Students can stop by the table outside Starbucks from 10 to 12 a.m. to find out when and where to get their flu shots on campus. A student health services representative will be present to answer any questions regarding the flu vaccine. Informational resources regarding COVID-19 will be available as well.
It is time for us to take our first break of the evening, but when we come back, a new university official was appointed on Monday. Who is it, and what is their role? We have that next for you right here on Q30.
Plus, we give you updates from around the nation. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
With you this week. We've had off and on showers today with a high of 78 and a low of 69. You can also expect off and on showers tomorrow with a high of 76 and a low of 66. And on Friday, we have expected storms with a high of 70 and a low of 55.
Do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Honey, what I think you need is a socket wrench.
I played JV basketball.
I'm sorry. I don't think it looks right.
This is good, and it's all good, baby.
Is it really all good?
If you love me enough to routinely test your handyman skills, not to mention the strength of your marriage, then of course you'll visit nhtsa.gov/therightseat to make sure I'm in the right car seat.
I'm gonna call my dad.
This past Monday, the university welcomed Karen Misbach as the Director of Environmental Health and Safety and Fire Safety. The role will be given to any first and safety emergencies and environmental concerns. Ms. Bach will work closely with faculty and deans in all university schools to make sure communication training on safety issues will take place across campus. Ms. Bach also most recently held the same title at Southern Connecticut State University. A lot has happened in the world of national news this week. Non-U.S. citizens from the UK and EU will now be allowed to travel to the U.S.
And disinformation about coronavirus continues to spread. We have Samantha Pirelli in the studio to give us all the details.
Thank you, Jack and Krista. For this week's national news update, let's take a look at Wyoming, specifically Grand Teton National Park, where a body was found on Sunday and was revealed to be 22-year-old Gabby Petito. On Tuesday, the autopsy confirmed that it was Petito, her fiancé. Brian Laundrie is currently reported as a missing person of interest in the case. Petito and Laundrie began a cross-country road trip beginning in Long Island. On September 1st, Laundrie returned home without Petito. Petito was then reported as missing by her family on September 11th. On Monday, a hard drive was found in the van they were traveling in and revealed confusing text messages to her mother, and that was the last time that anyone had heard from Petito. In Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, Natalie Rise, a registered nurse, passed away from COVID-19 and was unvaccinated. According to her brother, Daryl Rise, he believes her social media intake consisted of a lot of disinformation about the vaccine. She even encouraged him not to get vaccinated. Catherine Hoyer, a spokeswoman for Panhandle Health District, said, quote, "Social media makes it so easy to spread information quickly. I wish people would listen to credible sources," end quote. Although 54.7% of the U.S. population is vaccinated, 27% of the healthcare workers remain unvaccinated in the U.S. As disinformation remains an issue to many Americans, check the CDC website for the latest updates on the virus and methods of prevention. Lastly, the United States is lifting the ban for travelers from the United Kingdom and the European Union. Although they are now easing up on traveling, according to the White House COVID-19 coordinator Jeff Zients, people traveling from the places like the UK and the EU are required to be vaccinated. Zients said in a statement, quote, "This is based on individuals rather than a country-based approach, so it's a stronger system," end quote. Travel will reopen for passengers from 33 countries, including China and Brazil and India. U.S. citizens from China were first restricted from traveling to the U.S. in January of 2020. Then President Donald Trump extended the ban to multiple other countries later. The ban is expected to lift in November. And that's all for this week's national news. Back to you guys at the desk.
On Wednesday, September 29th, the Quinnipiac Playgroup will have their first meeting at 8 p.m. at the Theater Arts Center. All students are welcome and no prior experience is necessary. This group encourages all students, regardless of major, to engage in sharing their own plays, where they will then receive feedback from faculty and peers. It is encouraged that new members bring drafts they have been working on. If interested, make sure to reach out to the head of the theater program, Kevin Daly.
There are a number of tropical storms brewing in the South Atlantic. None of them have an immediate threat on land, according to the National Weather Service. Taking a look at more of the local weather scene in a segment Heather Owen dubbed herself Heather with the Weather.
Okay, so today we had showers with a high of 76 and a low of 69. Tomorrow you can expect showers again with a high of 76 and a low of 66. Fridays you can expect showers and storms with a high of 70 and a low of 55. Saturday the weather starts to turn around and will be partly cloudy with a high of 74 and a low of 56. Sunday, things will also be partly cloudy with a high of 73 and a low of 55. Monday will also be partly cloudy with a high of 73 and a low of 54, and so will Tuesday with a high of 73 and a low of 53. Also, with the surrounding towns' weather, you can see that Torrington is at 69 degrees, Hartford at 71, Norwich at 70, New London at 70, New Haven, us, at 73, and Danbury at 72.
Thank you, Heather. Upon arrival back to campus for the fall 2021 semester, Quinnipiac Bobcats were surprised by a change of scenery out on the quad. Fire pits are now accessible for all students to use. Matt Jarnick is here to give us a closer look.
With today marking the first day of fall, students can warm up the gas fire pits on the Mount Carmel campus as the temperature gets colder. Students are excited to use these new fire pits.
I think that it's a great idea. I think that the university is always looking for ways to enhance the student experience.
Located on the quad and the complex courtyard, the university hopes these fire pits will create a stronger campus life and foster lifelong connections.
Right, so I actually think that it's also thinking about the wellness piece. You know, how do we kind of leave the anxiousness of classes and other pressures that students have? I really think it's about how do we engage students in a place that they feel comfortable.
To use one of these fire pits, students must go in person to the Department of Public Safety to fill out a reservation form agreeing that they will follow these rules in place. Although students understand the concern for hazards, some disagree they need the permission from public safety to use the fire pits.
I think that it's good that you have to do that in some ways. That way you know you're using it right and it's not going to harm anybody or anything. But I feel like after you do it once, you might be able to just kind of do it on your own.
Students can access them for a 2-hour time period every day between 4 p.m. and 10 p.m. I'm live here with several Quinnipiac members at one of the gas fire pits at the Mount Carmel campus quad, roasting some marshmallows, and needless to say, you can do it yourself. Reporting for Q30 News, I'm Matthew Juronsik.
Independent candidate for Hamden Mayor Albert Lotto has dropped out of the race for mayor, citing venomous messages as the reason for his sudden departure. Lotto says he read on Facebook earlier this morning that gave him pressure to drop out. Speaking with the New Haven Register earlier today, Lotto said, quote, "Assure you I expected this. Let's face it, that's politics. But my family has and always will be my first priority," end quote. This leaves Democratic candidate Lauren Garrett and GOP candidate Ron Gambetta as the GOP candidate as a race for Hamden mayor. President Joe Biden, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we have the politics segment for you. Ben Kane's in studio right here. Stick with us right here at Q30.
Multiple studies have shown that marijuana can slow both driver reaction and response time, which can be really dangerous. It's here. It's here. Wait. What? I can't drive. What? My. Oh.
Maybe you can make retirement happen. After all, you made home ownership happen. Homeschooling yourself on loans, beefing up your credit score. So I'm pre-approved. You were like, yes! Sorry. Color-coding listings, ticking boxes, and flushing every toilet in a 20-mile radius. Home sweet home. You aced House Hunter. Now get the tips you need to get on track at aceyourretirement.org.
President Joe Biden was at the United Nations this past Tuesday to make an address about the next 10 years for the U.S. For that story and more, we welcome in Ben Kane to give us the field in politics.
Thank you, Jack and Krista. It was a busy week in the world of politics as the 75th session of the UN Assembly started, so let's get right into it. President Joe Biden addressed the United Nations on Tuesday, describing a world where American civic leadership rather than military power, acts as the driving force to solve persistent problems such as cyber war, climate change, and the coronavirus. The president delivered a more traditional address proclaiming a new chapter that the U.S. was beginning after he decided to end the war in Afghanistan. He described the next 10 years as a decisive decade for our world that will determine the global community's future. President Biden focused heavily on the pandemic as well as announcing there would be additional COVID-19 commitments on Wednesday at the U.S. Global Summit COVID-19 Summit. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson will be traveling to the United States on Sunday to discuss world leaders taking action on climate change. Ahead of this fall's COP26 Climate Summit in Scotland, this year's climate summit is aiming to persuade governments, industry, and investors to make binding commitments on reducing greenhouse emissions and to make progress on reducing global warming to below 1.5 degrees Celsius. After the UN General Assembly, Boris Johnson will visit the White House for the first time since President Biden has taken office to discuss the climate, the pandemic, and international security. Johnson is pressuring wealthy countries such as the United States to spend more to help developed nations tackling climate change. The Supreme Court will begin to hear arguments on December 1st in Mississippi's bid to have the Roe v. Wade decision guaranteeing women's right to an abortion overturned. Mississippi is asking the court to uphold its ban on most abortions after the 15th week of pregnancy. This comes as the state has asked the court to overrule a verdict from 1992, which prevents states from banning abortions before the point at which a fetus can survive outside the womb. The state's only abortion clinic still remains open and offers abortions up to 16 weeks of pregnancy. The High Court plans to return in October and will hear this and other cases in person for the first time since the pandemic. That's all for this week's politics. Back to you guys on the desk.
One last break before we leave you for the evening, but when we come back, Hampton Fest was back in town. We captured the sights and sounds from the event.
And the winter sports season kicked off this past weekend. We've got all your highlights when we come back. Stay with us.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin? I was just going to drive home. There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving. Like hearing voices? Like your text-to-emoji ratio? Oh man, the selfies.
Selfie, nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's put a ride home.
I know what you're thinking. I need a job. I need a new career.
Well, I've been there.
I've been there.
I've been there. I wasn't happy with what I was doing.
After high school, I didn't have a plan.
I just wanted to start working. I got laid off twice, but you gotta keep going.
You just need the right skills. Find an apprenticeship.
I found a 2-year IT program.
I found a medical course online.
I'm now a consultant in the tech space.
You have more options than you think. You can do this.
You will find something.
You will find something new.
When we adopt a shelter pet, we discover their unique mix of all kinds of things.
Come on, Joe, spot on this last one. There it is.
Keep going with it. Leo! They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love.
It was a ton of fun to see the fans back into People's United Center for Quinnipiac Women's Ice Hockey Exhibition against the University of Connecticut, and fans of the Bobcats can sign up for the ticket portal found in an email blasted out by the university yesterday. Any Quinnipiac student that makes an account following the instructions will have the ability to reserve a ticket to any winter sporting event at the People's United Center.
Q30 Sports' Aiden Barrett now joins us live in the studio for a look across Bobcat Nation. Aiden, the men's soccer team looked to improve upon a perfect record this past Saturday. Was it a positive outcome for the Bobcats?
Thank you, Jack and Krista. All right, let's get into some sports, starting off with the hottest team on campus, the men's soccer team, 5-0. Best start since 2007. Everything is clicking for this team. Freshmen are scoring. The stars are being stars. We saw Brog Austin with the only tally this past weekend. Beautiful kick up high. That was enough because also the goaltending for Quinnipiac has been stellar. Andreas Hashigravel played a fantastic match, making all 6 stops and securing the Bobcats' 5th straight win of the season. Only 2 goals allowed all year by these 2 netminders, with Jason Benzola getting some work too. Credit to head coach DaCosta. He's got this group very hungry, every game believing they can win, believing in one another, trusting one another as they prepare for MAC play in just 2 weeks in a kickoff against Siena. All right, let's get into volleyball now. Volleyball entered MAC play this past weekend, opening up against St. Peter's. The Bobcats made it 9 straight against the Peacocks this past Saturday. Their last loss, November of 2015, has St. Peter's number as they won all 3 sets on Saturday. Maggie Baker and Ariana Diaz led the team in kills on Saturday with 13 and 11 respectively. Sunday did not present the same fate to the Bobcats though, as they took the loss to MAC rival Ryder in 4 sets, 3-1. A bright spot though was Diaz, whose continued strong play, taking on 16 more kills. Head coach Kyle Robinson and the team will look to continue to try and turn their season around next Saturday against Niagara. All right, let's turn our attention to women's hockey. They played their first game in over 6 months. This time, fans in the building. And it was an impressive performance from Cass Turner's squad. A 3-1 exhibition win against UConn, a team they hadn't seen since 2018. The story of the game, though, was the newbies. Anne Franklin Nord and Maya Labad both gathered points, and it looked like instant chemistry, especially on the 3rd goal when Nod passed on one behind the back, right on the blade of Labad, where she found the back of the net with a pinpoint shot right over the goalie's glove. Sticking with goaltending, though, graduate transfer Corinne Schroeder. She got the 3rd period, looked very sharp. Small sample size, only 20 minutes, but she stopped all 7 UConn shots. The team will continue to prepare for the season as their opener is this Friday against Maine.
Always our guy with the news. Hamden's annual Hamden Fest took place this past weekend, and Hamden residents of all ages could enjoy more than 40 vendors and family-friendly activities. Our own Katie Cohen has more.
It was not an average weekend in Hamden. The town hosted Hamden Fest in the center of town for the whole community. People of all ages attended the event to see the wide variety of vendors, food, and entertainment.
A lot of great positive vibes. Very busy today. We organized the Kids Zone.
Dunk tanks and sports activities grabbed the children's attention while the adults focused on the local vendors. Over 40 people and businesses set up tables to connect with their community. Ranging from local honey to a bus full of jewelry, there was something for everyone. Amber Jackson, who owns Flight Vintage on Dixwell Avenue in Hamden, set up a tent to promote her business.
So we cater to 80s and 90s clothing. We have streetwear, sneakers, women's, so we have it all.
They came to Hamden Fest this year to get to know the community and reach more customers.
And this is actually our first Hamden event, so we've never vended in Hamden, so we just want to get out and, show up with the community, talk to the community.
After a year of the pandemic and people feeling so isolated, the town came together for this special day. It has been a very hot day, but Hamden Fest this year was a very successful and fun event for the whole community. For Q30, this is Katie Cohen.
Katie, excellent reporting as always. I gotta say, one of my favorite things about this time during the fall is the leaves changing colors, going for long walks on the bike path. What about you? What's your big fall niche?
Oh, I just love the pumpkin picking, apple picking. Spooky season is right around the corner. All your favorite Halloween movies are coming back on live streaming services as well. So, we gotta get ready for fall.
Are you a big trick-or-treater?
Oh, of course. Even at 19 years old, how can you not go trick-or-treating?
Well, I just turned 22 on Sunday, and I can't tell you how excited I am to go and make sure I get my big packages of Skittles, sitting down, watching some scary movies. That sounds like just an absolute bop this time of year, right?
It really does.
But I gotta ask, are you one of these pumpkin spice latte people?
Unfortunately not. What about you?
I actually tried my first pumpkin spice latte from Dunkin' Donuts the other day. I have to say, better than I was expecting. So
awesome.
All right, well, that's all the time we have for this evening.
Be sure to check out Q30 on Instagram and Twitter, and download our new app to stay up to date with Quinnipiac news as it comes out.
I'm Jack Main.
And I'm Krista Barong. Have a great night, Bobcats.